All right, let's dive into one of the biggest, most mind-bending ideas in all of philosophy. We're talking about Immanuel Kant and his theory that your mind doesn't just see reality, it literally builds it. And believe me, this idea changed absolutely everything.
Think about it. Right now, your senses are just getting flooded with raw data. Light, sounds, feelings. It's what one philosopher called a booming, buzzing confusion. So the huge question is, how on earth does your brain take all that chaos and turn it into the solid, stable world you think you're living in?
You see, Kant was trying to solve a puzzle left behind by philosophers like David Hume. Hume basically argued that all we ever get from the outside world are these tiny, separate little bits of information. Imagine your experience is just a series of disconnected flashes. You know, a spot of red here, a loud noise there, a feeling of warmth. According to Hume, there's nothing in that raw data that actually connects them. So where do we get these big ideas we rely on, like cause and effect, or even just the simple idea that all those flashes belong to one single object? Where does the connection come from? And this is where Kant just flips the whole table over. He comes along with a totally new way of looking at it, a complete 180 from everything that came before. It was so radical, they called it his Copernican revolution in philosophy.
So, the old school of thought, guys like John Locke, they saw the mind as a blank slate, right? Just a passive thing waiting for the world to write on it. But Kant said, nope, you've got it completely backwards. He argued that the mind is an active processor. It's got its own software pre-installed. It's not our mind that has to conform to objects out there in the world. It's the objects that have to conform to the way our mind works.
To really get a feel for this, let's use a simple analogy. Forget the blank slate. I want you to think of your mind as an ice cube tray. So all that raw, messy sensory data we talked about, that's the water. It's formless, it's chaotic, it just flows into the mind, the ice cube tray, which already has a built-in structure. And what comes out on the other side? Well, you get perfectly shaped, organized perceptions. Ice cubes. The water gives you the substance for sure, but it's the tray that gives it its shape.
So what is this ice cube tray really? Well, Kant said it's made of two main parts. First, there's our faculty of sensing. This is what automatically organizes everything we perceive into the grids of space and time. Think about it. You don't learn about space and time from the world. They're more like the operating system that has to be running before you can have any experience at all. Then, there's the faculty of understanding. This takes all that organized data and sorts it into concepts he called categories. Things like causality, or knowing that something is a single substance. This is how we know that a cue ball causes the other balls to move. It's a category our mind imposes.
And this all leads to one of Kant's most famous lines, which perfectly sums it all up. He said that concepts without percepts are empty, and percepts without concepts are blind. You need both. The raw sense data, the percepts, are blind without the mind's organizing concepts. It's just that booming, buzzing confusion. But the mind's concepts, well, without any sensory data to work on, they're just empty boxes with nothing inside.
Now, if you really think about that, the implication is just staggering. It means that the world you experience, the reality you live in every single day, is a world that your own mind helped create. And this leads to Kant's famous split between two different kinds of reality. First, there's what Kant calls the phenomenal world. This is the world of the ice cubes. It's reality as it appears to us, already shaped and structured by our minds. And because our minds all work the same way, this world is orderly, it's predictable, and it follows laws. This is the world that science studies.
But what about the world before our mind gets to it? What about the water? Well, Kant calls that the noumenal world, the world of things in themselves. This is ultimate reality, the real deal. But here's the kicker. We can never, ever know it directly. Why? Because we can't take off the glasses of space, time, and causality. They're basically hardwired into our brains. Now, what's so cool about this is that Kant isn't trying to tear down science. Actually, he's giving it its strongest foundation ever. Science works so well because it studies the phenomenal world, which is a shared, structured reality for all of us. But, at the same time, this sets a clear boundary. Science can tell us pretty much everything there is to know about the world of appearances, but it can never, ever tell us about that ultimate, noumenal reality.
And you might be thinking, okay, that's a neat idea from the 1700s. But this idea didn't just stay in philosophy books. It exploded across our culture and completely changed how we see ourselves and our world.
This one idea that the human mind is this creative, world-building powerhouse became the engine for so much that followed. It directly fueled the Romantic movement in art, which was all about individual imagination. It laid the foundation for depth psychology. Think Freud and Jung exploring the mind's hidden structures. And you can draw a straight line from Kant to modern philosophy like existentialism and postmodernism, which are all about questioning the idea of a single objective reality.
When you get right down to it, almost any modern field that focuses on human subjectivity, on interpretation, on how we create our own meaning, it all owes a huge debt to Kant. He's the one who put the active, creative human being right at the very center of reality.
So, we're left with this incredible, final question to chew on. If the world you see and touch and live in is actively shaped by the only tool you have to perceive it, your own mind, then what in the world could reality actually be like, beyond the built-in limits of our human understanding?